Final speaker before I come up and introduce our art project is Cheyenne Hardy. And I want to tell you a little bit about Cheyenne. Cheyenne is a resident of Dartmouth North, and she's connected with United Way Halifax through one of those innovative partnerships I was telling you about, and that partnership is called Between the Bridges. And Between the Bridges is a really interesting initiative that's focused literally on the geographic area between the bridges in Dartmouth. And it's a cradle to career plan that brings together community and all of this community resilience and passion to really change the trajectory of what the outcomes in that community are. It's funded through the province of Nova Scotia, and with the lead department being Department of Education, and United Way is a partner in bringing that work to life in community. So Cheyenne she's pretty remarkable. She's only in grade 10, but she has a hugely long list of achievements. Sorry, I just made up a word. Distracted me. And she's received wonderful volunteer recognition from across the province, from the City of Halifax, the Halifax Pride Committee, the Dartmouth Community Health Board. And she's also the recipient of the Royal Canadian Legion Cadet Medal of Excellence for Citizenship and a Girl Greatness Award from Girl Guides of Canada. So, kind of impressive, eh? And why we wanted Cheyenne to be here is that we're increasingly talking with young people who are doing incredible things. You know, I look out, I see Blythe, I know Blythe O'Connor's another young woman who's doing amazing things. And there's so many that I've met today and that we've met before who just care so much about community. And we want to share some words of one young woman who's really interested in making a difference, and I think she would rally behind and invite conversation with hundreds more to see a real movement of youth united in our city. So please join me in welcoming Cheyenne as she shares some words of inspiration about the power of youth. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the United Way and Sara Napier for inviting me to this lovely breakfast this morning. It is really quite the honor to be here. Today, I would like to talk about youth empowering themselves by going out and making a difference in our communities. Youth empowerment is a process where children and young people are encouraged to take charge of their lives. They do this by addressing a situation that is important to them and taking steps to improve or change that situation. For example, I live in Dartmouth North. As many of you are probably aware that whenever you hear about my community, let's say on the news for example, it's never anything good. For a long time now, Dartmouth North has had a stigma attached to it. It's a place where people think it's unsafe and dangerous to raise kids, and that nothing ever good comes from the dark side. Well, I am growing up in Dartmouth, and the biggest negative I see about growing up there is the constant look of disgust or pity on people's faces when I tell them where I live. It has bothered me for my whole life, and quite frankly, it was making me very upset. I felt like I was being bullied every day, but not just by one person, but a whole lot of different people from other communities. And that's a whole lot to put up with when you're a kid. I always wish people could walk a day in my shoes, in my neighborhood, and on my streets. I wish they could see all the great things that Dartmouth has had to offer, not just the bad things that happen there. And then it struck me. I could have them walk a day in my shoes, through social media and the internet. I decided I wanted to make a video, but I didn't have a video recorder or anything, and I couldn't afford to buy one. So I wrote an email and sent it out to everyone I could think of to ask for help. I was so excited when I received replies from organizations like Schools Plus, the Nova Scotia Department of Education, the Between the Bridges organization, and United Way Halifax. They offered to help me with my idea any way they possibly could. I met with representatives from these organizations a couple of times. We talked about my plan, and I was given a video camera. That's when my journey to self-empowerment really began. I finally had the means to act rather than stand by on the sidelines and allow this type of community bullying to continue. I'm not old enough to have my license yet, so I couldn't drive around to the different places in my community, but I do have a scooter. So I grabbed my camera, I hopped on my scooter, and off I went. I visited places in Dartmouth that I wanted to introduce to the world as absolute gems in my neighborhood. I visited places such as our local food bank, the Boys and Girls Club, the Dartmouth North Community Center, and the Dartmouth North Food Center. I visited parks, beaches, and playgrounds all over Dartmouth North to show people that there is so much beauty and goodness in my community. I think the most wonderful part of the film was it showcased so many caring and generous and loving people in Dartmouth North. After I finished my project, I put it on YouTube. A couple of days later, CTV News saw it and they contacted me, and they said that they wanted to do a story about me and my video. You can only imagine how thrilled I was. All of a sudden, the idea that started in my head because of concern I had was suddenly being played out on television, and it was being shown to thousands of viewers. I felt so empowered that day, and I was so proud of myself and of my community. I don't know if I changed everyone's mind about my neighborhood. There still may be people thinking that nothing good ever comes out of Dartmouth, but I came out of Dartmouth. If I change just a handful of people's opinion about my community, maybe they'll continue to spread the word to their family and friends. And maybe someday, my own kids won't be made to feel ashamed of where they live. And the thought of that makes my heart fill with hope. And that's how I chose to fix a problem that I saw in my community. I had no experience, but reached out and made some connections to helpful organizations like United Way Halifax. They gave me the tools and the guidance I needed to do what I thought needed to be done. Currently, I'm fundraising to go on a trip to Consuelo in the Dominican Republic so I can help build homes, work in the sugarcane fields, and bring much-needed medical supplies to the village. But empowerment doesn't need to be that complicated. If you don't like something that you see happening in your community, or if you know of a cause that you believe in, all you have to do is just get up, get out in your community, and help be the change you want to see. Sometimes it might require you to make a video or maybe give a speech. Or you can make a difference by volunteering at a food bank, a shelter, or a senior's home. It can be as simple as grabbing a couple of your friends on the weekend and going out to a local playground and picking up trash so the kids will have a clean place to play. If you don't really have time to help out after school or on weekends, join clubs like We Act or Interact that may already be in your school. If you're concerned about an issue and your school doesn't have a club for it, create one yourself. When I was in junior high, I saw a great need for some type of program that allowed students to talk to other students about being bullied or any issues they may have inside or outside of school. I recognized that students would come and talk to a peer more freely and openly than they would to a teacher or even a counselor. So with my principal's blessing, I started a program called Lunch with Friends. It consisted of a committee of 4 or 5 students that were available and accessible at lunchtimes to help other students. They could come and talk if they were being bullied, if they needed help with homework, or if they just didn't want to eat lunch alone. It was a successful program, and students told me that it was a comfort knowing that someone was always there for them. I'd like to think maybe it helped make their junior high experience just a little better. So to the youth in the room here today, don't ever be afraid to take those ideas that you have in your head and run with them. Sometimes your ideas may not be heard, and maybe sometimes they might not work, but that's okay. You just learn from that experience by considering how your idea can be improved for next time, or how you can present your ideas in such a way that others will take notice and listen. Just never give up trying, because the trying is what empowers you. And to the grown-ups out there, please encourage us to express new ideas, because I promise you that a 15-year-old's thoughts about an issue will be quite different than those of an adult. And at times, our ideas might not even work or even make sense. But sometimes, our ideas, because we do think outside of the box, will be brilliant. And thank you for being such a good role model to your children. Just as you are never too young, you're also never too old to empower yourself by going out and making a difference in your community. I guarantee that your kids, those that you have brought here today and those that are at home, are proud to be part of a family that gives so generously to a great cause. I read a quote once that said, "Children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they never fail to imitate them." Being young today is such an incredibly important position to be in. We often hear people say, "Kids are the future leaders of tomorrow." And that's true in a sense. But in my mind, I say it the other way around. Youth are the leaders of today. I think this way because we have empowered ourselves to change what is happening in our communities and the world right now. But however it may be, whether the leaders of today or the leaders of tomorrow, I believe everyone in this room can agree. We all have the desire for it to be different than it was yesterday. And united, both young and old, we can make change happen. Thank you.
The only problem with Cheyenne is she's not very enthusiastic. I love your energy, and I thank you so much. I think we all thank you. You are a wonderful role model, and you're a wonderful example of all the great people and the great young people who want to make a difference in our community, and not only who want to, but are. And I think that's the real message, is that you're leaders now. So everyone in this room is a leader, and through the ways that you contribute to issues you care about. And so it's about, I think, a message of being courageous and standing up and making a difference for what you're passionate about. And for us with United Way, that's about uniting our city in compassion and eliminating poverty.